How y'all doing tonight? Let's one get me set up here so I can see all messages. Let's see who's in the house. We've got Ground Fog in the house, Robert Jones, channel member, Lena Rodriguez, channel member. Who else is here? We've got Bill York, channel member, and dear friend, KR Knives Reviews, the very first channel member. Brown Sugar 0069, channel member. Who else is here? Dawn and Chris Lowry are here in the house. Welcome in, welcome in. Fred the Lug, channel member. Fred, how was Texas Blade Show? Had to be pretty awesome. That's awesome, Fred. Yeah, we got to get together. And I'm going to be sending you a text later on. I got to get the information on the knives I have for you, from you, so that way I can record videos on them. So we'll go from there. But how's everybody doing tonight? Zach Kennard, hello there. Welcome in, welcome in. Roger Baker, channel member, hello there. So, I don't know if you guys heard, there was a little blade show in Texas. I wasn't there, but man, some news has come out of Blade Show. I don't know if people have heard. There's a lot of talk about VYRkniv Knives, and we will talk about that in a little bit. If it's all true, it's not good news, but there's a lot of speculation going on. Oh, that's okay, Fred. That's okay, as long as you're not in a rush. So we're all good then. But we have hit spring. The warm weather, for some of you have already hit. For us here in the Northeast, it's up and down. We had a couple of cold days. This weekend went up to 60. It's going to go back down to the 40s and 30s this week. So the weather's kind of all over the map. It's that time of year, you know. As we get through March and get into April, I am looking forward to it. Already been out. You know, you saw my video last week when we went to the waterfalls and whatnot. But looking forward to being outdoors once again. And so, you know, it's that time of year, you know. So Aries showed off a new knife tonight, the snare, and that looked really awesome. Aries opened up the books today. Hopefully everybody who wanted to get on the books got on the books. I did not. I'm not getting on the books this time around. As you guys know, I just got a brand new Aries knife. So we're going to wait. We're going to let some other people get into it. Mallory Designs. Hello there, my friend. So Mallory with the big Kickstarter that's coming soon. It's fully funded. His stuff went into production. We're going to see that stuff sooner than later. Can't wait. Cannot wait. The H2O looks phenomenal. So, and that's why I jumped on as the first backer. But, and to give you an idea, I don't always try to get on as the first backer. Like NAF's launched a new knife this last week, and I waited. I was just like, I don't have to be the first backer on that one. It was one that I'm interested in. I liked the idea of it, but, you know, but with Mallory's, I wanted to make sure I was the first backer because I wanted to show my full support because I love his stuff, you know. So this week we had some new stuff come in. Not a lot. Again, not buying a lot of knives right now. You know, waiting for, you know, I'm instead of buying quantity now, I'm going to be much more selective. And that's why I went with the Neil McKenzie channel member. Hello there. And that's why I went with the Aries knife. I wanted something out of the usual. I wanted something, you know, that was different. And that's why I had gotten the Max. You guys saw the video on it. You guys saw it on here. You know, I wanted this, another Aries knife. I showed in the video all three of my Aries customs, but let's talk about some of Aries not customs. And we'll get to this in a second. So the other thing that came was the Aries EDC Rock Hopper. And I did a short on this. Great little knife. Just great little EDC knife. Actually, I'm going to be honest. I've got all three of Aries Kubi collabs. So I've got the Bloom, the Thorn, and now the Rock Hopper. The Thorn is probably, to me, the most functional because of its size, but it's a pretty straight ahead design, you know, but makes for a great pocket dropper. I really like that a lot. The Bloom has always been a great design. I've loved this since I first saw it. And now the Rock Hopper's right there. But as far as the ergos go, the Rock Hopper, although the smallest, has the best ergos. Yes, it's a 3-finger knife. But with the way the blade kind of dips in here with the jimping, it just locks your thumb in. Even if I didn't put the lanyard on there, I would still feel secure with this. Which goes directly against the video that was dropped by Gideon's Tactical today, who I love Aaron from Gideon's Tactical. I think he does a great job. But he was really anti-small-handled knives. And I get it. But I've got a big hand as well. I think my hand is a little bit bigger than his. And I don't have a problem with a 3-finger knife. Yes, I like to add lanyards to them because I get better control, but I don't have a problem with them. And I know some people will, so that's, you know, everybody's a little different. I saw some people just came in that maybe I didn't say hello to. Let's see who's here. Zach Kennard, Zach, I did say hello to you. Let's see, anybody else come in? Angelo, welcome in, channel member, right? Yep. Did I miss anybody? We've got 23 people here. I don't think I said hello to all 23. If not, some people might be lurking, and they may not know they're here. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have a problem with a 3-finger knife? You know, I love small pocket droppers. Crosley Workshop, hello there. Like, I have no problem with the small pocket drop fixie. I think in a lot of ways they have an advantage. And I know not everybody's into fixed blades. I get that too. You don't have the fidget factor like you do, you know, with a folder. But I just like them for what their intended purpose is. For EDC, cutting open boxes, cutting packages, cutting rope, cutting envelopes. These work fine for me. What do you guys think? And out of these 3 models that Scott makes, or Scott designed for Kubi, which is your favorite? Do you like the Thorn? Do you like the Bloom? Do you like the Rock Hopper? I happen to like them all, but I'm not going to lie. I'm an Aries EDC fanboy. Not a problem. J1 Doobie in the house. Hello there. Bill says not a problem. Is that not a problem with... Yeah, they're all 3 of them, Zach, are good-looking blades. Fred, play with that one to Kubi. Yep. Oh, Robert, the tag-along is, to me, I've said it before, I think that's the best small, pocket drop fixed blade out there. I loved it. I loved it when I had it. I got to carry it, review it, but then, I agreed to give it away on the channel. So, and if I wonder why these don't lock into the sheath, it's because I'm putting in the wrong sheaths. But yeah, I've gotten, and honestly, I didn't carry fixed blades for a really long time. It was Aries, I'm sorry. It was G-Ball. G-Ball kept talking about how great little pocket and scout carry fixed blades were. And I was like, I really just like folding knives. I didn't really like, or like if I'm bushcrafting, big, you know, outdoors knives. But gotcha. No, you know, unfortunately, you'll have to buy your own. You know, but like I said, I was never into small fixed blade knives like that, and it was G-Ball that got me into them, and now I have just as many fixed blades as I do folders. That's not an exaggeration. So the Thorn came in this week. As you know, 2 weeks ago, Robert Jones had sent me the Agent 004 that he got from TKL, where they had already sharpened it, unlike the one that I got from TKL, which was really too thick at the point and really couldn't be sharpened well. But TKL dropped the Agent 005 blems, and I had to grab one of those. And I took the scales that I already had for the Agent 004, the blend that I got, where the blade was just really messed up. So I bought the blade, and this is the Agent 005 by TKL. And this one is branded with the TKL logo, fully sharpened. And I bought a sheath for it. Okay, let me start over. I bought a sheath for this from TKL, but they didn't ship it out before they went to Blade Show, so I didn't get it. But I had bought this sheath off of Amazon for like $8. Leather sheath, actually really nice sheath for $8. I'm sure it's made in China. It's by a company called Gentle Stash, and they make some decent leather products. But it fits in there, but it's loose. It's not going to fall out, but I don't like the fit. I'm just afraid. So TKL said that my sheath would probably be going out tomorrow or Tuesday once they got back from Blade Show and got settled in. So I'm looking forward to that, having a proper sheath for it. In the meantime, I have something else I'm going to use this for. But really nice knife compared to the. And again, well, I need to find myself a good pocket dropper. I've got a mini harpoon. A bit too bulky. Gotcha. So these are my 3 TKL fixies right now. I've got the Piranha with the Century grip, the Agent 004, and now the Agent 005. Now, if you compare the size, handle on the 004 and the 005 they use the exact same handle. But you see how much bigger the 005 is. I like them both, though. Well, here's the thing, Robert. They had run out of they took the 005 sheath off the website, but when they were doing the live, the Whatnot live, I said to them, do you have any left in stock? And Tim was like, just email. And I sent the email out to China, and she said it was no problem. She invoiced it. They just didn't get a chance to ship it before they went to Blade Show. So I can't wait for that to come. What I really want is for them to come out with the sheaths again for the 004. They weren't doing them because they were doing the 004, you know, as whatchamacallit, as the blems. But because they had to change of heart. Now, the 004 sheaths aren't in stock yet. I wish they would come back in stock, you know. Got that, Zach. Yeah. The smaller TKL, like the other TKLs, I like the Agent series. I like the Piranha, especially with this little Century grip, because otherwise I felt I had to get this grip because I felt this was too small to be a 3-finger knife. But this is a 4-finger knife, is really good. And this just makes a nice little EDC. I keep this in a scout carry position. And I do like the TKL clips I know a bunch of people were talking about that on the live and the whatnot. So yeah, that's what this one is, Robert. This is the blem, the 005 blem. You know, honestly, other than some surface scratches on the finish, I can't see what's wrong with it. The grind is perfect on it. The handle shape was perfect. The scales lined up perfectly. So the only thing I could see is that the finish was really had some scratches across it, but they're so minor. You know, like I don't know if you can even see it on camera, but there was some finish imperfections going through here. Actually, you can see it better on this side. You kind of see. But I don't mind. Like, I really don't mind. It's going to be a user. It's going to get scratched anyway. You know? Where, you know, like my Aries, these are going to be EDC knives. These are just going to be used for cutting, you know, envelopes, boxes, that sort of thing. Just true EDC knives, you know? And this is the Cardinal XL, by the way. Oh, you ordered yours on Whatnot. See, no, I ordered mine through. Oh, you know what? Because I'm a TCal member, so I didn't have to get it through Whatnot. I ordered it right through the website. Where you have to be a TCalian to order the blems through the website. So, and they had the option to check off just to have it sharpened. So, some good news for everybody who won the gauze the last bunch of weeks. All the gauze have been mailed out. Everybody's been sent the tracking. So we are up to date with mailing everything out. Now, 2 knives did not go out because 2 of the winners never contacted me with their information. And it's been 3 weeks. So my thinking is we're going to put those back into a drawing. Because I think 3 weeks was more than enough time for those 2 people to contact me. Let me know if you guys think that's fair. They had 3 weeks. So if that's the case, we're going to have two knives go back into giveaways. Let me know if you guys think that's fair. You know, I just don't want to do it because I don't want to come off like a jerk, you know, like, hey, they didn't email, but I mean, the rules are rules. We have rules for a reason. You know, I usually say you have to get back to me in a week. I've given these people 3 weeks and no one got back. The 2 of them didn't get back to me. So I don't know if they just forgot, you know. All right, I've got 2 people saying it's fair. Anybody else? Anybody say no? Let me know because, like I said, I want to see somebody get them. You know, I want to see somebody win them. I don't know if you guys read the description. Okay, we've got Stephen Parks. Hello there. Welcome in. I didn't see you here. Okay. So it sounds like everybody's cool with that. And I'm good with that. That's awesome. So we got some cool videos coming out this week. We've got a new product that will be Gabe Harlan. Hello there. You haven't been, I mean, we're just talking about KR Knives. Sounds good. We're just talking about all the giveaways have been mailed out. There were 2 people who won who did not get back to me in the last 3 weeks. So I asked if everybody was okay with me putting them back into, they thought it was fair to put them back into giveaways because I want to see somebody win them. I don't, you know, they're 4 giveaways, so I want somebody to win them. But you know, the original winners didn't claim them. It's been 3 weeks, so I put it out there. Everybody's saying, yeah, they think it's fair. So that's really kind of what you missed. And we were talking about Aries EDC's production knives with Kubi and also his, you know, his custom that I recently got, which I did the video on. You know, such a great knife. This one. And then he said tonight on his live stream that somebody is ordering one the exact same way as this, which is cool because that means they liked what I came up with Aries. Because, you know, when you get on the books Aries, you pick the materials and everything. So that's cool that somebody liked it. But I'm like, man, I like the fact that mine was a one of a kind. Now it'll be a one of two. But I'm okay with that, you know. Miranda Keith, hello there. Welcome in, welcome in. And you are a channel member. So the other thing we talked about is TKL knives. Now, I am a big fan, like I said, I became a big fan of fixed blade knives because of G-Ball, you know. But one of the things that I am a fan of, and not because they're good knives, but I think they just look cool, are the Pakistani made fixed blades with the Damascus. Like this one. Damascus, really nice handle material. And I got to tell you, it's built better than I would have thought. The fit and finish on this is amazing. You know, it's sharp. Could it be sharpened a little bit more? Yeah, but it's still sharp, you know. JW Outdoors, channel member, welcome in, welcome in. Good to see you. So, and these you could pick up dirt cheap. Now, is it perfect? Joe Casper, no. The pins stick out slightly, but not anything major, you know. But the look of it is really cool. Robert Willoughby, welcome in. You know, and I have 4 of these because I'm a sucker for these. Because one, they're really inexpensive to buy, but it's a full tang. I don't even think it's a real Damascus, to be honest. I can't tell on this one because this one looks like the Damascus goes through, but on some of the others it doesn't. And they come with these really rudimentary leather sheaths, but I just like them. And I know my pal Leda likes them. My friend Leda Rodriguez, who's a coworker of mine and a good friend now, we hit it off right away since she started working for my company. She likes knives and she loves Damascus. So check this one out, Leda. Again, this one, I don't think it's a real Damascus because the Damascus doesn't go through to the tang. So it's probably an etched Damascus. So it has a Damascus look, but feels really nice, really sharp. And I love the crisscross jimping. Look at that. This one, the fit and finish is a lot better than the one I just had in hand. Pins are perfectly flat, feels great. Finger choil even, you know. Like that one. Then I got another one here with the purple and cream color handle. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. Now, this one doesn't have jimping, but you kind of got that harpoon there. You know, I don't even know if you want to call it a harpoon, but this thing's wild. Adventureman, hello there. But kind of cool. I mean, and these all come in like literally at the like $15 to $14 range. You know, you get these on Whatnot all day long. They usually wind up being a buyer's choice. And then the last one is this little guy, this little hunter. And again, I don't think this one's a real Damascus because the Damascus stops right here. So I think they laser etched that Damascus in there. I think the first one was a real Damascus. But either way, it looks cool. You know, sharp out of the box. This is a little guy. Needs a lanyard. But even this, because of the shape, it locks in. Altriano, hello there. Welcome in, welcome in. I notice most people... cycle is to bring out the best of Damascus. Don't etch the cycle long enough. That could be. That's interesting. I didn't think of that. Well, yeah, that's exactly what that is, Bill. That is what they called it. They called it a Skinner. I like it. you know, this week there's going to be a video on a new product. I think I hinted at it last week. There's also going to be a video on 2 Flissa knives that Flissa sent me. They sent me these a while ago, and I haven't done the video yet. So these are going to be done this week. 2 guys. A little small finger, 3-finger knife that actually, with the choil, I can get all 4 fingers. But I really love this little knife. 14C, 28N, liner lock. Video will be out on these 2. And this one I like a lot. I love the wood handle on this. When they asked me which one I wanted this one because this just looks nice. And this is another one, 14C28. Really nice blade on that. You know, 2 ways to deploy it. You've got your flipper, and you've got your, let's see if I get, and you've got the hole on it, and both work really well. Well, the thumb. Oh, actually, that's me. Yeah. For me, I'm sorry, this doesn't work as well because my thumb is really big and doesn't fit in there. But reverse flicking it works really well. I love watching makers videos, honestly speaking. I watched a guy make a Damascus out of copper and nuts. He took like 200 nuts, put them in, put ground copper in, like powdered copper on the bottom layer, put all the nuts in there, then filled it with sheet copper, right, as a second layer, then put the nuts in, all the steel nuts, filled it with copper powder, ground copper powder, whatever you want to call it, and then put another layer of, or actually did the reverse. Then he did another layer of copper, and then he forged it, in the cylinder, in the square cylinder, right? Broke it out, and then heated it, pounded it flat, and it looked amazing. Alex Steele and Black Bear Forge. Yep, I've watched both of them. I love watching makers like truly make stuff, and there are 2 types of knife makers. There are the guys who forge steel, and then there are the guys who take steel and remove steel. They're both, I don't find one to be better than the other. It's just a different art form, but the guys who like the guy who built the Damascus out of all the different nuts and whatnot, that's a little bit, to me, of a slight higher art because you're actually forging that down. You're not taking, like, it's easy to buy a steel blank and heat treat it and forge it that way. I'm not talking about that, and I shouldn't say that's easy because it's not. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to offend anybody because it's not easy to do that either. But to take raw materials and have to heat them, melt them down, and then pound it out flat, and then do the whole thing. That is a really, really, it's a skill. It's just a skill set that takes a while to learn. So we've got 28 people in here, 24 likes. That's cool. I appreciate that. So 3D printed steel designed, different powder sheet. Yep, and in the canister, correct. Yep. It's always amazing to watch that. That's why I love Forged in Fire so much. Such a great show. And unfortunately, if you believe what Will Willis said after he was fired, he claims it was all fixed. Don't know. Wasn't there. Wasn't in the room where it happened. But he also seemed bitter that he was let go. So again, disgruntled employee. Speaking of which, let's talk about Bark River Knives. Anybody hear what's going on with Bark River Knives? Put a hand up in the chat if you know what's going on with Bark River, or if you've heard the rumors. Anybody? Viewer? Anybody know what's going on with VYRkniv Knives? Zach Kennard knows. Well, if you haven't heard, VYRkniv Knives is bankrupt, and they're basically gone. Now, it's Dog One in the house. Hello there. Cheers, my friend. Mick Ranger in the house. So apparently VYRkniv was in financial problems for a while. And they just kind of abruptly shut down and are bankrupt. With that being said, supposedly the employees did not get their last paycheck. And they weren't informed about the place shutting down until the very last minute. And one of the disgruntled employees, and I don't blame him if you didn't get your last paycheck, you should be disgruntled, but has come out and accused them of basically for the last year when suppliers when they weren't paying their bills and suppliers wouldn't send them steel, they were buying Chinese knife kits. Now, mind you, this is all accusations. There is no proof. Let's go with that. There's no proof. This is just one person's word who's claiming that they were buying Chinese-made knife kits because they couldn't buy real steel. With that being said, supposedly the employees there were being forced to, one, remove the steel type off the Chinese knife blanks. So those blanks were coming in at 440 steel and 9 CR, and they were being forced to remove those markings and replace it with markings that said 154 CPM. Now, again, this is one person accusing them. We don't have proof. This is just, yes, allegedly. Exactly, Mallory. And I got into this, we have a YouTube group of a bunch of us who are in the knife community, and people were talking about it, and I was like, hold on, pump the brakes. Just because someone who's disgruntled is claiming it doesn't mean it's true. I'm one of those people. I believe in evidence or shut the fuck up. I'm one of those people. Give me proof. Don't give me accusations. I need to see proof. I am that kind of person. It's either facts or fuckery. Pardon the language, but that's what it is. And so we don't know if this is true or not. But if it is true, this could have some major consequences. One, there could be lawsuits. And I don't think bankruptcy protection would protect them from fraud. Now, we don't know because we don't have a trail of paperwork to prove that's real. We just have one employee's, ex-employee's statement that was put out there. And I guess that was floated out during Blade Show in Texas. Now, with that being said, though, I have been told that in this chat before that the reason why some people don't buy Chinese-made knives is because they don't know what steel if they're getting the real steel. Well, here's a case of an American company who might be doing the same thing. Keep that in mind. So there's no, when you think that, well, but just because it's an American company that they have proper ethics and they're doing the right thing, it's not necessarily true. So keep that in mind. It's just food for thought. I hope it's not true. I mean, obviously, you don't want to see a company go out of business because that's bad. It's people are going to be out of jobs, and we don't want that. Hey, Nate, 704, hello there. Welcome in, my friend. We don't want to see people lose jobs. That's the worst thing that could happen. These people have families. I'm sure, they had hopefully had benefits, and it's not easy to get laid off. I'm sure most of us at some point have been there. Maybe you've been lucky never to have been there, But I feel for the people. I feel for the people who were laid off. But I don't want it to be true. How about this? I don't want it to be true. Now, if it is true, it is. It's what it is. I don't have any skin in the game. I just think that because I already saw people were like an angry mob already on the internet, basically like, this is the worst thing. And I'm like, well, it's worst thing if it's true. We don't know. So let's cool our jets till we get more details. You know, it's one person right now. Yep. I mean, the problem is so many knives come out, and who's going to pay for all the testing? You know, at some point you have to. At some point you have to take companies at their word. You know, until they're proven otherwise. But you know, let's just talk about it. You know. By the way, Metal Complex, who I like a lot, he's actually been a really nice guy to me. I can't with his lives anymore. There's just too many people in there, and to try to get an edge word in edgewise, it's so hard. Now I like his videos. There's a lot of things I do not agree with Metal Complex on. He says some things that are not necessarily correct sometimes, and a lot of it is based on more opinion of his as opposed to actual use scenarios. And I'll leave it at that. You know, it's I think people like Aaron from Gideon's Tactile or Stasa, who puts knives through tests. I value their opinion more than the desk jockeys. Just the way I feel about it. Want to know? Wait. Want to know why knives? Congratulations and welcome in. Welcome in. So you got your 43rd subscriber. Well, share your link. Let's share your link. Come on, everybody. If you're not subscribed, there's a good chance that some of you are not subscribed. Go over to the channel and subscribe. Let's help everybody out. Let's see. Let's see how many subscribers we can get. Yeah, well, you know, like I said, and Gideon puts every knife through their paces, you know, or Aaron. I still call him Gideon because when I first started watching it, I didn't know his name was Aaron. I just assumed it was Gideon. But yeah, you know. Congratulations, Joe. That's awesome. Joe with the big giveaway win for St. Paddy's Day. Did everybody have fun this year on St. Patrick's Day? I was homesick, so I did not get to have fun. I got all dressed up, but I was too sick to go out. I didn't go to work. I was just sick as a dog, and so I was all dressed for the part. And I actually wanted to do a live stream that night because you guys know I was sick Sunday and I was sick Monday. And I just couldn't do it. I wanted to do the live stream. And that's why I posted my St. Paddy's Day carry on Instagram a day late. So. Jay Wesley, 235. Yeah, but here's the thing. Reddit is... And I go to Reddit, so I'm just as guilty. But Reddit is the Wild West of people just saying things that aren't necessarily true. Hate Nate, member for 1 month. You, my friend, get a lightsaber salute. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. And by the way, we're coming up. April's coming, so we're coming up on the next members giveaway soon. And you know, well, that's good. I definitely appreciate that. That's like in the watch community. Like you have Ben's Watch Club. He puts watches through the pressure tests to see if they're accurate as far as how waterproof they are. And I appreciate that because he actually puts you know, he films and puts it right on YouTube for everybody to see. So there's no, hey, I did this. No, he's doing it. It's you know, which is when I did my EDC watch video last week. I actually put a clip of his doing that test on my video, you know, because I didn't test it, but sure as hell he did. So I want to give him credit for that, you know. By the way, a lot of good feedback on the watch video. Thank you for watching that. That's actually been one of the more watched videos, long form videos lately. You know, the long form videos for me don't do as well as my short form content. I mean, literally, I've had 29,000 views this month. The majority of it, short form videos. So I don't know. I'm still putting out long form videos because when people send me products to review or test, they deserve long forms. But oh, no problem, Steven. Yep. I love watches just as much as I love. In fact, this afternoon I spent a good time of the day working on watches because I've been into this thing lately where I've been buying cheap watches and just throwing them in a box. And when I get around to having time, I try to repair them. And I've been pretty good with some. Some I just can't get. I don't have the skills yet, but I'm working on them, you know. Well, Bark's actually been a pretty popular company in the last few years. And here's the thing. According to what they're saying is that any knives that were made prior to this last year are fine. You don't have to worry about those. And that's the thing too. We're going to have to see when people send knives in for testing, are they sending the ones, you know, because here's the thing. There's no date on them. You can only assume, well, I got it this year. When was it made? You don't really know. They don't have expiration dates or even born on dates. So you don't know, you know, unless you do something like with Aries, he gives you a card that tells you the date that it was completed and he signs it. But you're not getting that out of the production world. So something could have been sitting on a shelf for a year, 2 years, you know. Yeah, 704 does a great job. I'm going to tell you something. He put up an EDC flashlight today, right? And it's usually 20 bucks. Okay, it's very similar to like the Wuben G5, but a little shorter. It's more compact to go on a keychain, but it's that same kind of style. And one of the colorways, the white, was selling for $4.99. 704 put that up. It pays to be subscribed channel. He put that up. I got the notification. I bought it. I was like, well, maybe I should get another one. I went back to buy another one. Like 5 minutes later, it was gone. They totally sold out. So 704 does a really good job with that, you know. So if you're not subscribed to him, I definitely recommend subscribing because he puts up some great knife deals. And the thing is, he tests his stuff, and you'll see videos of him testing his stuff. Like he'll talk about it, but he's got 2 channels. You know, he's got 704 gear, he's got 704 tactical. And the tactical one, you'll see him testing a lot of the gear, you know. But definitely check him out. Pristine white room. Yes, that was the Addy's Dive factory. Addy's Dive, which is a watch brand I highly recommend. If you're looking for a mechanical watch at around $110 that competes with any watch on the planet, go grab Addy's Dive or Steel Dives or Watch Dives. Any of those 3 companies. They make great mechanical watches. And my mechanical Addy's Dive kills my mechanical Timex, which I'm wearing now. So this is the Timex automatic. This is the M79. When these were new, these were selling for $279. Not even mineral glass, acrylic glass. The Miyota 8000 movement, is probably Miyota's worst movement. The rotors are loud. They do keep excellent time. They're very accurate. But the rotors are loud, and there's no hacking on the second hand if you bought one of the originals. This one came out later. This is the Coke colorway with the red and black, but the original Batman colorway, the blue and black, that one had that one had whatchamacallit, the original Miyota. This one has the upgraded Miyota move. It's the 8000, but it's like the 8000 plus. So this one has the hacking hands. But there was no way I would ever pay $279 for this watch. I bought it new old stock for $70. D. Letterman, how you doing, buddy? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. All right, so Want to Know Knives is up to 46. Can we get him 4 more? He's going to have a giveaway at 50, so can we get him 4 more subs tonight? That would be awesome. That would be really, really awesome. You know, but Addy's Dive makes great watches, you know, and I'm trying to expand other things on the channel other than knives. I know most of you are here for the knives, but there's going to be other stuff on the channel, especially as we're getting closer to warmer weather. There's going to be some camping content, some camping gear, because I'm not just EDC, I'm outdoor stuff too. And I got away from that for a lot of reasons, but we're going to get into more of that this year. You know, as some of you guys know, the channel started as a motorcycle channel, then went to Let's Go See Roadside Oddities, to EDC knives, and now we're getting back to our core, which was always outdoor adventures and outdoor gear. So, which goes hand in hand with EDC gear. So there's going to be some of that. So next week, we're going to have the big announcement. We're going to have my collaboration knife in hand, and I'm going to have someone from the company who I'm collaborating with on the show. And I'm still keeping that right here, right now. A little close to the vest, you know? But we're going to debut the knife next week. So it's going to be a fun one. I'll have the knife in hand. I'm supposed to have it by Friday. Might even be quicker. The first one. And then there's going to be a short run on them. So if you do like the knife next week, I would say don't wait, because it's only going to be a small batch. And then if that sells out, we'll probably run a second batch, but let's get through the first batch first. But I'm really excited. It's the first knife that's going to bear the ADVENTUREFIFTY logo, you know, so I am super stoked. It's a company that I love, you know, and they are going to be USA made. So, and they're going to be at a good price point. They're going to be very affordable for most people. You didn't, yeah, well, you know, this is, by the way, if anybody's looking for a watch, don't be afraid to go to AliExpress. They're in their spring sale. There are huge discounts right now on watches. Awesome. Congratulations. You are going to get a phaser salute. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. That's what we're all here for, to help each other out. So I'm glad we can help, you know, Want to Know Knives get there. So congratulations. Bravo. And if anybody else has channels, don't be afraid to drop, you know, don't be afraid to drop your links. That's what we're here for, you know. So again, next week we're going to have, he'll be the first guest on the show as well. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time dropping, you know, the knife. And then we're also going to wind up having the members only giveaway. No, not next week. Next week's, that'll be the week after. But there may be a surprise or two in there for next week. Definitely going to be a fun one, you know. But so I want to talk about a concept I have in mind for the channel, for the live streams. I want to make this more interactive. And I had an idea. Knife blackjack. Now, hear me out. Knife blackjack. So the way this would work is that anybody who gives a super chat would then pick a card. So say, you know, Joe Smith gives a $2 super chat. They would then get to pick a card. If they pick the ace of spades, whatever they want, okay, they pick a card. The next person who gives a super chat gets to pick a card, right? And what we do is at the end of the show, okay, or close to the end of the show, we shuffle a deck of cards, and then we pull a card. And if anybody's got the match to that card, they get to go into a one-on-one game of blackjack against me. And we'll use regular casino rules, okay? So, you have to hit on 16, you stay on 17 or above, and we'll even add 4 for the player who's against me. They get to use the 5-card Monty rule, which not everybody in blackjack does, which means that if you get 5 cards without going over 21, you automatically win. Some casinos will do that. Most don't anymore, but they used to as a regular, so we would put that in. So again, the way it would work is, as we get super chats, right, you get a card. And then what happens is, after we get, we pull a card, whoever has matching cards, no match, and pull the next one until we get a player. They get to play. If they win, they get the prize. If they lose, we pick another card. Okay? So we pick another card, and then that person gets to play. And we keep playing until somebody wins. It's not going to be one of those things where if I win, it doesn't get, somebody's going to win every week, But I think it'll be fun. It'll be a couple of things, right? Hey, Nate, you're in. Yeah, we're not doing it this week. I just wanted to make sure. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate the $5 super chat. So you get a phaser salute. Weldon Carey in the house. Channel member. Oh, no, wait, you're not a channel member anymore, Weld. That's okay. You're such a good friend after all this time. And I can't figure out how to gift memberships. Somebody's got to guide me through that. Well, I'll reach out to you on that because I can't figure out how to do it for the life of me. So, but I'm glad you're here, buddy. Absolutely. But I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a way to make the show a little bit more interactive because I'll be honest, I sometimes miss things in the chat because, I'm trying to look here. I'm trying to read it on the bigger screen down below. And then what we'll do also, too, I will flip the screen down so you see the cards on the table. So that way everybody knows there's no monkey business going on, Well, you have a great night, and I'm glad we could get you to the 50 subs. And it's only upward and onward from here. So keep me, I'll reach out to you, I think. We'll figure it out. Maybe we could get you more promotion this week. I can't either. iPhone. Steven, you can actually do it if you don't go through the app. If you actually go to youtube.com in Safari and don't open the app and log in that way, you can actually do super chats. So that's a way around it. That's the way I have to do it too. Because I use the app. I use Apple. So, which I know not everybody's a big fan of Apple. I'm an Apple fanboy. Not going to lie. But that is what that is there. So I think it'll be fun. It's something to think about. What we won't do is because I don't know what the actual rules on gambling are on YouTube. So we won't mention what we're playing for. We'll work around that. Salvo Zen, hello there. No, it's not going to go sideways. It's not going to go sideways. I've been thinking about this. I'm like, how can we do this? It'd be really, it's pretty simple. Give a super chat, get a card. At the end, we just play until someone wins, So, and, your odds are better if it's one of those things. I think it's better odds than doing the numbers game or whatever. Because I know not everybody's going to give super chats, but it's a way to get in there where you can win something. And the way I'm going to do it, by the way, the way I'm going to do it with the prize is I'm going to send it directly from Amazon to the winner. Go over. So the way it's going to work, Dog One, is that anybody who gives starting next week, anybody who gives a super chat gets to pick a card. So there's 52 cards in your deck. You get to pick your card. That gets written down on the list, and we'll keep the list, right? And as we get more super chats, people will pick more cards. Now, you obviously can't pick the same card that's already been picked. That's fine. Then, as we get towards the end of the show, right, we will then shuffle the deck, and we'll have the screen flip down so you can see the deck. It'll get shuffled. We'll pull a card. The first person that matches on the list gets to play a hand of blackjack against moi, right? We will use standard casino rules. And what happens is, if they win, they get a knife sent to them, and we'll do it through Amazon, so that way it gets shipped out right away, and I don't have to worry about going to the post office. There won't be a swag pack, obviously, because it's going to come from Amazon, but you'll get the knife very quickly, right? And then if I beat that person, we pick another card and move on to the next person on the list. And we'll keep playing until somebody wins. There'll be a winner every week that way. It'll do a couple of things. It'll help the channel. You know, the financial support actually will help the channel a lot, to be honest. You know, nope, I'm going to deal the cards, but we're going to have the camera down, so everything will be on screen. You know, that way. I mean, I could try to find an automatic, you know, dealer program app or something. I could do that too, but you know, very cool, Salvo. You know. Yes, great line from Austin Powers. I just think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. Like I said, it'll hopefully, you know, hopefully it'll all pay for itself. But I think it'll make things much more interesting, make my lives different than everybody else's. You know, I mean, as it is, my lives look different than everybody else's because of the wonderful flashing lights that are behind me. You know, but that's a way we could do it, though. But I we could now. I think in the beginning I want to try it the way I was talking about, and if that doesn't work, then we could do high card. You know, that way. But I think having every pick card, because that way too you get control over your card. You know, it's not as random because you picked your card. You know, to get into the playing game. It's just something. I think it's something I want to try. We'll see how it goes. You know, we may not do it every week. You know, also too, it's a way for anybody who isn't a channel member but still wants to possibly win something to do it that way, because usually I only do the non-members giveaways when it's a milestone. And yes, we are coming up on the next milestone, so we're very close to 3,500 subs. You know, we're like 150 away. So, or 250. I forget where we're at, but we're getting close. The person gets to pick one of 52. So say Dog One, you give a $2 super chat. You then pick a card. So you could pick whatever card you want. Say you want the 8 of hearts. We would write 8 of hearts. And then at the end, when we go to pull the cards, if the first card that matches what somebody has, they get to play. So, you know, it's funny. You say Go Fish. That was one of the first games I learned how to play when I was a kid. My grandfather taught me how to play that. Actually, I think that was the very first game that I got to play. And I think the second game, believe it or not, after that, he taught me was blackjack. And then, of course, poker, and and then every variation of poker after that. So, I still love a great game of poker. And, I always enjoy poker. It's a fun game. Perfect. And we'll if anybody has questions as we go next week, like I said, we're gonna try it next week, see how it goes. And what I will do is probably before the show, post the knife that we're gonna give away. And then that way, what you're gonna win without me saying it on the actual live. There you go, Hate Nate. I usually like to play poker with a nice Guinness myself, but that's me. I like brown beer. In fact, I have a photo somewhere that someone took of me at a friend's house years ago, playing poker with a Guinness hat and a Guinness in hand. So, which is really funny. Just made me think of that picture. I haven't seen it in a while. But so on a different topic. So tomorrow I start fresh with going back to getting in even better shape. My goal is to lose 20 pounds by June 1st. I want to lose another 20 pounds. So I've already laid out my diet. I'm going to be doing protein shakes in the morning and very light lunches, and of course, sensible dinners. I'm cutting out all the snacks. Doesn't mean I can't cheat once in a while, but for the most part, I've got the treadmill all set up. And as we get to even warmer weather, I'll be out walking more. I'm going to be working out with weights and whatnot. Just want to get back into better shape. I'm feeling much better now, physically, now that I lost, the 115 pounds. So I still want to go. I want to go and get back into shape. My arms have shrunk over the last 10 years by about 2 or 3 inches. So I want to get my arms built up again. So it's a new goal, Well, Nate, I was ripped at one time, especially out of high school and college. I was really ripped. There are pictures of me on Facebook where I'm like all muscle, but it's been a really long time. So it's overdue. As I've lost the weight over the last couple of years, like I used to get chronic backaches. They're for the most part a thing of the past. Used to have lots of pain in my legs and my feet. For the most part, that's gone. So it just proves that losing the weight really does help. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That 150 is a lot, man. Like I said, I lost 115, and like I said, I wanted to lose another 20. I want to actually lose more than that. I want to get down to my weight that I was coming out of high school and college when I was playing hockey, and I was multi sports. I was always at 215, 220. I don't know if I want to get down to 215, but I definitely want to get down to 220, 225 in that area. So that's going to be like a 30-pound weight loss altogether. But I think 20 by June 1st is doable. I think it's very doable, And the reason why I'm putting it out to everybody, not because I want to talk about it, but if I put it out there, you guys know about it, and you guys can hold my feet to the fire a little bit, And if you see me doing something stupid, you can yell. You can all yell at me. Gotcha. Yeah, I was up to at one point. I was up to 360 at my biggest. So, yeah, 360 was my biggest. I'm at 255 now. So, oh, it's never easy. It's never easy, But I'm determined. Like my Bill, who's here in the chat. I'm not sure if he's still here. He might have went to bed, but Bill knew me years ago when I was at my biggest, And people who haven't seen me in a lot, it really feels good. Like when I see people who haven't seen me in a long time, they're like, "Wow, you lost so much weight." But it's also weird when I see people who haven't seen me since high school, and they're like, "Wow, you got really big." So it's a double-edged sword, type of thing. But yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. So what time is it? It's 11:11. Wow, things are moving pretty quick tonight, folks. I like that. Means we're having some fun. So what did Who went? I know Fred. I'm not sure if Fred's still here. Fred went to Blade Show in Texas. Did anybody else go to Blade Show in Texas? Just curious. I know Wyvern Kodiak went. Sam went. I don't know if Sam's probably just getting back home today and is probably exhausted because he's usually in here. So, yeah, well, I would like to get to Atlanta this year. Don't know if I'm going to. I really want to, but I don't know if the timing may not be right for me. But gotcha. But the cool thing is, I was talking to Sam from Wyvern Kodiak, and I asked him to pick up some swag from, and he decided I'm going to pick you up a ton of swag. And since I'm hanging out with Fred, I think he said in another like 3 weeks or so, he's back in the area. I'll be hanging out with Fred. He's going to bring it all to me because him and Sam picked up a whole bunch of swag. So I can't wait. Well, are you going to be working anybody's booth, or are you just going to be just running around the show? Just curious. Are you going to be working with Trivisa again? And did anybody get anything new this week? Really curious about that. Like I said, I haven't got a lot of stuff. I've really slowed down. When is Blade Show Atlanta this year? That's the best way, Weld. I think going there as a visitor for the first time is probably the best way. Because if you're attached to a table, you don't get to see a lot. You know. I know as far as shows I'm going to, definitely I will June 5th to 7th. Yeah, see, I don't think that's going to work for me. That's probably not going to work for me because the timing is wrong. Oh, very cool. I love my Gateway Barlow, but they discontinued the one that I have, which is the one with the wood handle. Hold on. Let's see. It's right here somewhere. Here it is. All right. Have a good one, Bill. So this is my Gateway Barlow. And this is that cherry wood version. So, yep. Lady got some cool knives this week. She got 3 new ones, all Damascus blades, really cool stuff. But she hasn't named them yet. That's true. But yeah, this is the Jack Wolf Gateway Barlow. This Sam. Sam, we were literally just talking about that. I literally was saying you're generally here, and I said you probably just got back from Blade Show Texas and you're exhausted. Well, welcome in, my friend. Glad you're here. So Sam posted a million pictures. He met everybody this weekend, which was really awesome. So I'm really glad about that because hopefully, Sam, you made some really good connections. You know, I know that's why one of the reasons why you were there is not just to see everything, but to make some good connections because, and promote Wyvern Kodiak. So very happy for you with that. Also, Sam, we talked about something new that's going to be happening next week, which is live stream blackjack. So you'll hear more about it. You missed it, and we talked about it for like a half hour or so. But starting next week, we're going to be doing some live stream blackjack, which should be fun. So. Yeah, I saw Sever 7 looking at your knife, which was really awesome. So, I don't worry, Sam. I was paying attention. I was living vicariously through you this weekend. I'll be honest. You're actually one of the only ones I watched the coverage of. and checked out your socials and whatnot. I made sure specifically to look at yours. But was it me, or was it just a weird angle that you shot that video with Sever 7? Because he looks really small in that video. I don't know if it was the angle, because it seemed like his upper half was bigger. I don't know if he was shooting like on an angle or something, but just curious. Gotcha. Oh, wow. Doing a buddy bombs. Huh. I like Asher knives. Okay. I can't tell. Like, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I had no idea if he's a big guy or not. So, but he looked really small in that one because of the angle. Gotcha. Gotcha. But Sam, who are you, if you had to pick one production knife that you were most impressed with at the show, what would you say? I know you saw so many of them that it's hard to probably pick one, but if you had to pick one, just curious. Sam, I'm 6 foot and I'm way shorter than you at 6'4". You're a big dude. I have the Asher Warncliffe folder that I absolutely adore. That knife. One of my best purchases of last year, in all honesty. And I don't know why I don't own more of their knives, but I have the one and I absolutely adore that knife. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to bust Derek's chops. The Hawk Talon, Honey Badger. You know, it's funny you say that, because I have only one Monterey Bay knife, and I absolutely love that one. And there's still one I still never got around to getting, either the Sabertooth or the Wolverine. I want one of those. And I never got around to getting it, and they're still available. So it's not like, they had that first run, everything sold out, and there's still a few floating around when they came out the second run. I gotta check out. I did not see. I saw the content. I saw a picture of you with, at the whatchamacallit, at the table. Now, Ray Laconico wasn't there. It was just the other guy, right? Who I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment. Or was Ray there as well? Because the picture I saw, I didn't see you with Ray. Sanford, right? Right. Sanford was there. Okay. Was Ray at the show at all? Maybe he was with some other booth, or he just wasn't there. Because Ray's the guy I'd love to meet. I love his designs. But yeah. Gotcha. There are certain designers that, like, there are basically, I mean, there are a lot of designers I love, but there are 3 that I really want to have a conversation with. I want to have a conversation with Ben Peterson, other than the few little conversations I've had with him on Facebook. Like, I'd like to have a real sit-down conversation with Ben, because that guy fascinates me, and not necessarily because of the knives. It's just because of all the different stuff that he's done with NAFs, and prior to that. From a designer standpoint, like pure knife designer, I want to meet Bob Terzula, the man who invented the tactical knife. That is someone who is on my bucket list. I need to meet him, and he's not getting any younger, so I have to meet up with him at one of these shows. Yeah, Ben had other stuff going on. He had stuff with his kids. He said he wasn't going to be there. So, but yeah, and he will be at Atlanta. So, so like I said, Bob Terzula is another one that I want to meet, and Ray Laconico is definitely a designer that I want to meet. You know, and there are obviously others. Like I'd like to meet Ostap Hell at some point. You know, Sam, I know I'm going to meet you in real life at some point. You know, we just got to make that happen. But you know, there are people I'm talking about, people I've never really interacted with. Like I said, I've had interactions with Ben through Facebook and through the Facebook group, but and also on LinkedIn. But I really want to meet some of these people. Really, really, you know. Very cool. So, all right, Sam, you don't have to tell us the details. How many knives did you come home with? I'm just curious how many knives you walked away from Blade Show Texas with. 4. Okay. That's pretty good self-control. That is really good self-control. You know. Yep, Anzo's another one. But like I said, for me, the big one would be Bob Terzula. Like I've got 3 knives designed by him, and I love all 3. You know, but he is the godfather of the tactical knife. He invented the tactical knife. He's the one who coined the term, the tactical knife. You know. Honey Badger. Ooh, and the Contra prototype. Do you know I don't have any prototype knives in my collection? I keep saying I want to get one of the prototypes, and Concept sells their prototypes often right through their website at pretty decent prices too. I just never get around to getting one, you know. But I will have my prototype this week. Yep. So I'll share one detail about the name of the knife. It's the agate. So my knife is the agate. Still not telling you guys what company it's with yet. That'll all come next week. So it'll be good to have the maker on with me. So that'll be fun. And then Sam, when the dust settles, I need you to be on this show. I say prototypes, not necessarily prototype. It's the first one off the line. Since they are all being handmade, it's the first one off the line. I will say that. I got so excited. I got the email today from the person / company who's making them. And I was told you'll have it in hand by Friday. And I did the happy dance. So Sam, not next week. Let's do it the week after. We'll schedule it now, like concrete schedule it, because I want to have you on definitely. And then we'll go from there. I would have you on next week, but like I said, I'm doing the announcement of my knife, which I didn't think that was ever going to happen, but it happened. So like I said, I'm really excited about it. You know, just to have a knife that I collaborated on is so cool. I got to tell you, I'm giddy. Mr. Mouse, welcome in. Hello there. April 5th. Yep, that'll be the one. The first one in April. So I'm looking forward to, now that I'm feeling better, I'm so happy to be back on. It killed me last week not being on. And then being sick all weekend and then into the week. Ugh. So, Joe, you're like 29 years old, right? Joe's going to be 29, everybody. 29 years young. Yep, Easter Sunday night. Yep. So hopefully by then everybody's finished with the families and, That'll be cool. '24. Okay. 24 years of age. But so did anybody else get anything? So we know Sam got 4 knives. We know KR Knives Review has his knife coming in, his Gateway Barlow. You know, anybody else get anything? Hmm. I think Joe's pulling our leg with 24. Just saying. Just saying. By the way, we went to see The Martian yesterday. Slip joint. The PM2 coming tomorrow. Very cool. And Neil McKenzie, the Penguin in 154, green titanium. Very nice. Very nice. To quote Bees, you got to have a Penguin. And yeah, absolutely. I've got 3 Penguins. And I've got one that I won from Gareth's giveaway that was modified by Jimmy Crow. That's awesome, you know. But you got to have a Penguin. And he's right. Penguin's just a good design of a knife. And there's so many versions of it. You're bound to find something. 5 Penguins. Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. You can never just stop at one Penguin. You know, it's such a great design. Like I said, so many variations of that knife. You know, whether you like a liner lock, whether you like a crossbar lock, whether you like a top button liner lock, it's all there for the taking. You know, J1 Doobie, get yourself a Penguin. Even if you go with just a basic liner lock in the Blue Jean micarta, such a great knife. Inexpensive. You know, obviously you can go with more expensive, you know, as you go up, but that one is just a great knife. You haven't had a Penguin either? Oh man. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I ever bought the first Penguin I bought was because of Bees always talking about them, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta have a Penguin, you know. And with that being said, I got a Penguin and I loved it. I even have the mini Penguin in the S90V in titanium. Mini Penguin's too small. Caviso has a great deal on the dark matter frame lock. Penguin and LMAX 105. That's a really good deal. That is a really good deal. You got the aluminum foil Penguin. Yep. The first one I got was because it was on sale and it was dirt cheap. Was the jade colored, you know, the jade handle liner lock. And I know some people don't like jade, you know, the jade color handles, but I don't have a problem with them. I like them, you know. And then the second one I got was the mini Penguin with the titanium. Then I got the blue. It's the crossbar lock. I don't remember if it's the blue G10 or the blue denim. You know, Penguin's got. That I love that blue denim micarta. Really nice. Yep. Yep. You know, and that's the thing. That is the thing about I've said this before. CNC machines were the great equalizer when it came to Asian made knives because the CNC machine does not care what country it's in. You know, it's going to cut the same way. You know, if you put in a great design, doesn't matter if you put that design in the US, in Germany, in China, doesn't matter. CNC machine is going to cut it and do a great job. Now, heat treating and sharpening is a different story, but I really think, and not just with knives, the CNC machine was the great equalizer when it came to building guitars too. You know, there was problems over the years with Asian made guitars where they were just bad. Come out years later, CNC machine cutting everything, and you got bodies that are dead perfect every single time. You know, my Penguin got me too, so it's something we haven't. Well, yeah, absolutely. It lowered the prices on everything. I mean, when I first started playing guitar in the 80s, you couldn't buy an inexpensive guitar that was actually built well. Now you can get a guitar for $179 Squire that, as long as you give it a good setup, will play amazing. Just the truth behind it, Yeah, I did not get the. No, wait. I forget which terminology. The glide lock, is that the crossbar lock? Right, that's not the top button liner lock. The glide lock is the crossbar. Yes, okay, right. And that's the one I have, the glide lock. And what I loved about that is that the bar lock isn't the round pins like you get like on a Benchmade, you know? It's not the round pins. It's got the oval shape bar, which I love, 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 love. So that would be really great, Mick. 100%. You know, and I do like that new crystallized Damascus that they were coming out with. I think it's a Damascus, but that crystallized look, really love that. I'd love to get one of those, but like I said, I'm not going to get any more penguins. I'm just not at this point. I'm trying to do, if I, as I'm buying things, I'm buying things different than what I had. Like I've got 4 bug outs. Why do I need 4 bug outs? I'm not buying another bug out no matter what anybody does. Gun to my head, I'm still not buying another bug out. Well, maybe gun to my head, I would buy another bug out, but why do, I don't know. I can't answer. Sometimes I wonder with some of these companies, like what they think sometimes, you know, like, like I will give you a good, for instance. All right. There are some knives that come out that I just think that are small knives that I think if they just made a bigger version would sell boatloads. The only company I've really seen do that, well, I've seen a couple now. You had Kershaw do the XL Bel Air, which is amazing, and I like the original Bel Air, but I always thought that would be a good bigger knife too. Vosti did the larger Martin, so you had the Martin 220, and now you have the 330, which is the bigger one, which is the Vosti Martin is one of my favorite knives, really, of all time. I think when I did my review video, I said that felt like a knife that was a really great value because it was such a good price for what you were getting. And it felt more premium than what it was, you know? And I absolutely love that. And I'm glad that they did that. And now, if anybody, I'm sure Sam probably saw it at Blade Show Texas, but Civivi, I love the Yonder, but it's a smaller knife. Well, now they have the Over Yonder coming out. The Over Yonder is the bigger version of the Yonder, and I can't wait to get my hands on that because I think the blade goes up to 3.25 inches as opposed to the 2.95 inches that it was. You know, yeah, very. Well, Sam, absolutely love that knife. You know, and I bought it on the very first run, and when they had all the cool colors, and I just got the plain aluminum colored, the plain aluminum, because that was all that was left. And it turns out I love the look of that even more than the other colors. So that happens to me sometimes. Like things grow on me. Even with the, I don't know, it just fell there. Something fell. Even with the Gateway Barlow, I didn't want the wood color. It was the only one that was left when they did the first run. And then I got it, and now I absolutely love this over the other colors. So I fell in love with that wood color, and I didn't think I would because I generally, I'm not always a fan of traditional looking knives, you know, but I really fell in love with that. TI bronze. The TI bronze button. Yeah, I can't wait for that to, I think they're actually shipping on, they should be arriving, like if you pre-order them, they should be arriving to you around the 30th. I have not pre-ordered it yet. Because again, I'm not really buying a lot of knives right now. But I think that's one that I want to get, you know. You know, and like if you look at it, you know, even Civivi slash We, you've got the banter, the baby banter, and then they came out with the big banter, you know, and the big banter is like I like the banter and I like the baby banter, but I still need to get my hands on the big banter because I love that blade shape, I love that handle shape, and I just think having the larger version is really great. I don't want to pay the money for it, so I might look for one on the secondary market. You know, I just and I know it's We and it's We quality, but I find everything We to be, their prices are getting ridiculous. That's I think We's prices are getting out of hand. You know, even Civivi is moving up, and I understand everything's getting more expensive. You know, but there was a point you could pick up a Civivi for $40, and now you can't really touch a Civivi, a new one, for anything under like $60. You know, and I don't know if Civivi at those price points is worth it when there's a lot of other companies that are doing it just as well and keeping the prices less. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, 125 definitely worth it. But I think it's back up to like 150, and I don't know if I want to spend 150 on it, to be honest. Even my banter, my wee banter, I bought that used at the Lehigh Valley Knife Show, and I only paid $40 for it. So I couldn't, and I wasn't going to buy it. But when the guy told me he only wanted $40 for it, I was like, I have to have it, you know. And then the first thing I did was get rid of the blue scales and put on the aftermarket green micarta scales. But it was definitely worth it, especially since those scales were on clearance too. Yeah, I kind of get that feeling right now with We that they're getting a little bit too big for their britches, you know. And it's a shame because I really do like We, Civivi, and Sencut. Actually, I absolutely love Sencut, by the way. I think Sencut makes some great, real basic knives at good pricing. You know, I've never had. I will say I've never had a Civivi, a We, or a Sencut that was a bad knife where the quality wasn't A1. You know, but I mean, right now I'd rather buy Vosteed. I'd rather buy Migaron. You know, um, truth of the matter, the last two Civivis that I had to review on the channel, they were whatchamacallit. They were given to me. Not by the way, not by We or Civivi. They don't even respond to my emails. which is really funny. But I haven't really bought anything We or Civivi in a while. Yeah, I just don't foresee that happening. Because here's the thing. I've learned one thing working in my line of work for years. Prices never come back down. Once you raise prices, they stay there. Because what happens is people get used to paying those prices. So why would companies lower their prices? You know? First time around, this is not a political statement, but I work in the appliance industry. First time around when the tariffs hit in the first Trump term, every appliance manufacturer raised their prices by $200 across the board. Whether or not they were being hit with the tariffs or not, because initially that first round of tariffs was only hitting foreign-made machines. But yet the American-made companies decided, well, they all raised their prices. We can do it too. Because people were still going to be competitive priced with them. And then what happened was the prices never came back down. They just stood there, and they've only gone up since. Nobody ever drops prices because you get used to paying XYZ, and you're going to continue to pay XYZ. It's the sad truth of it. You know, it's not a political statement. It's just the way it is. This is the way business has always been. Doesn't matter who's in office. Once prices get raised, they never come back down. You know, the only time I ever saw prices come down was with granite. When I was a kitchen designer, you used to sell granite for like $160 a square foot. Didn't really matter the color. That's what the going rate was. But then what had happened was Lowe's and Home Depot got into a battle with pricing. So what happened was Home Depot started dropping their granite prices, and they were making less money per square foot. But because they sold everything else around it, they didn't care. They were willing to lose money or break even or just slightly make money. And then what happened was Home Depot set granite, they brought granite down from like 160 to like 120. Lowe's, being Lowe's, said, well, we have to do that too. And they brought their prices down to like 120. To which Home Depot said, no, we need to be at 110. And that battle went back and forth to where now you can buy granite at you know, depending on the color of the granite, but you can get granite for as little as like $40 a square foot. When back 15 years ago, it was selling for 180, 160. And that's what people were paying. That's the only time I saw prices come down, but that's because it got into a price battle between two major suppliers. And then what happened was, okay, what happened with that was it killed all the independent mom and pop shops because they couldn't get the granite for as cheap as Lowe's and Home Depot were, but they still had to try and compete. So they were dropping their prices. And so many small kitchen cabinet places stopped doing countertops where they would tell you, no, go to a granite yard or go here. It was ridiculous. And I was in that industry designing kitchens for a long time doing that. And I watched, that's the only time prices came down. You know? Oh yeah, absolutely. We have that right here where I live. Gas stations like right across the street from each other always have the same price. And if one drops the price by a penny, the other one drops the price by a penny. They're always the same price. Now, mind you, because of where I am in Jersey, we generally pay less for gas than most other states. And that's because you have a lot of the refineries here in New Jersey. So there's not as much transportation costs for the gas station. So they're able to sell gas cheaper. To the point where people in New York who live near the New Jersey border, and same thing with Pennsylvania, they will come into Jersey, get gas, and then go back over the border because it's less money. Although it's not as less as it used to be, a lot less. Now it's only a little bit because, again, taxes got placed on that stuff. So thanks, Governor Christie. Oh, just saying. But we used to pay a lot less for fuel here, you know. It is 11:46. We are just cooking tonight. This has been a lot of fun so far. I'm glad everybody's hanging out, you know. I know on these Sunday nights, because I go on late, we don't get as many people in as the shows that go on during the day. And it's just a fact of life, and I don't like stepping on other people's toes. I still want to do a Wednesday show, and I want to go on before Sam on Wednesdays. I just haven't been able to make it happen because of being sick and everything, and then with all the weather problems we had. I still want to make that happen. And that might be a members only live. I don't know. I'm going to figure something out. But I want to go on Wednesdays and Sundays. I want to do 2 days a week. You know, I think it'll be good. We can get some new eyes on the show too if we go on earlier. You know, I appreciate everybody here who is extremely loyal. You guys come in, week out. Oh man, it's awesome. I feel like I'm hanging out with like some of my best friends every week. It's awesome. So Sam, you got to meet El Gato Milo. Hello. How are you? So you got to meet Fred. Fred's an awesome guy, isn't he? He's a character who I love. Like, I met him and we hit it off that first time I met him. He's just awesome. He really is an awesome guy. I could sit and talk knives with him for hours. And we did. The first time we met, I think we sat there and talked knives for like 2 hours. And unfortunately, I had to go because I had other stuff planned. But if I didn't, I could have literally sat there for 4 or 5 hours talking knives with Fred. Guy's just like, and he knows his shit inside and out. Like, I'm blown away because I thought I knew a lot about knives. And I met Fred and I was like, damn, I don't know anything. But oh, that's, you know, it's funny. I don't do as much business travel as I used to. I enjoy business travel, but at the same time, I'm like, with the way travel is right now, especially right now with all the airport nonsense that's going on this particular week and upcoming week, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with it. Oh my God, Sam, when I met Fred, he brought these big giant hard cases full of knives, and he was willing to lend me anything for the channel. At the time, I couldn't take anything from him because I just, one, was so far behind on making videos, that stuff that I couldn't. I have a few of his knives here that I'm going to be shooting videos on and then give them back. That's the great thing about Fred. Fred is like generous to a fault, I think. You know, he's really trusting with, you know, giving out his knives and whatnot. And you know what? We all appreciate that. Fred is just amazing, you know. But man, he's just a great guy to hang out with. I had so much fun hanging out with him. And I can't wait to do it again. Just, you know, he was traveling and, you know, everything else. And like he said, he's going to be back to New York. I think he said, what did he say, 3 or 4 weeks or something like that? Once he's back, we'll get together. And I know, Sam, you sent him away with a lot of swag for me. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, I appreciate that, Sam, by the way. You don't know. I hear this conflict might affect food with fertilizer. Can't get through. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I read things. I don't even want to get into it. It's political nonsense, and I'm just done. Well, yeah, you know, some friends of mine were just traveling, and they got to the airport 3 hours early. The problem is, they wouldn't let them in. They didn't have, the TSA workers weren't scheduled to be there for another hour after they told people to arrive, which is crazy. We're talking about major metropolitan New York airports, you know. But who knows? You know, there's so many conspiracy theories about this, and the greed is unbelievable. You know, had to reboot your router. Well, we're still here. That's good. So you didn't miss a lot. But I just, that's why, like, politics just makes me sick at this point. That's why I don't like talking about it on the channel at all. I try to keep politics and religion away, you know. We just talk about knives, sharp, stabby things that are fun. Sometimes we talk about music. We talk about food. Speaking about food, I made something tonight I never made before, and it came out really good. And my wife had actually never had it before, so it really made me happy. I made chicken fried steak tonight. Oh yeah, with pepper gravy over it. Ah, it was good. I never made it before, but I knew how to make it. I just never made it. So I made a chicken fried steak. Made one for me, one for the wife, and I made roasted vegetables with it. You know, I roasted carrots, broccoli, green beans, and potatoes, you know, like a casserole dish. And those came out great as well. But no big deal for 10 minutes. Oh, it's crazy. No, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, by the way, I did say I saw The Martian yesterday. I started saying that when I got pulled away by reading somebody's comment. If you haven't seen The Martian, see The Martian. It is such a great movie. Now, I read the book. I read the book multiple times. They stay pretty close to the book. They obviously leave a lot out due to time constraints. So if you didn't read the book, there may be things you don't get. So you may want to just, if you watch the movie and there are things you don't get, reach out to me and I'll explain if you haven't read the book. Because they have to cut things out due to time constraints. They made a couple of little changes, nothing that really affected the story. But in the book, it goes into a lot more detail and it fleshes out the characters much more than the movie does. But I'm sorry, not The Martian. I'm sorry. I meant Project Hail Mary. I'm sorry. I said The Martian. I keep doing that. Project Hail Mary. See Project Hail Mary. It is amazing. But yes, The Martian was good too. And that book was great as well. Same author, Andy Weir. Both books of his are, well, actually, he has multiple. He has 3 books, I believe. But The Martian and Project Hail Mary, both fantastic books. But Project Hail Mary, the story is amazing. The book is amazing. And now the movie is fantastic. And some of the things I had pictured in my head while reading the book were what they showed in the movie. And some things, you know, you always think of things because you're using your imagination when you're reading. You always think of things looking different. Like I thought the blip A, which is the ship that Rocky has. If you don't know this, haven't seen the coming attractions at all, spoiler alert, not really because they're in the attractions. When Ryland Grace, who's the main character, finally comes up on the alien craft, it didn't look what I had pictured from reading the book. It was amazing. The visuals, if you get a chance, see it in IMAX with the Dolby sound. The visuals are stunning. The cinematic work is amazing. And they did some perspectives, like almost as if you were looking out of his helmet and seeing what he was seeing when he first approaches the planet. And again, not spoiler alerts. This is stuff they showed partially in the trailers. I won't spoil anything if you don't know the story. Having read the book, I already knew the whole story going in. So, but I thought they did a great job. I can't say enough about that movie. It was so much fun. The only thing, and we wound up getting free tickets out of it. Long story short, about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, the theater had a power outage. It took them 45 minutes to get the movie back up and going. So what they did was they gave us free tickets to go see another movie. So now we got free tickets for another movie. So that was kind of cool. It kind of stunk sitting there for all that time just in the theater waiting for them to start the movie again. And then when they restarted it, they actually started it in the wrong place and they had to go back and restart it from where we left off. But, you know, they were really good about it. The management gave us tickets and it didn't affect my love of the movie because I loved that movie. So I was waiting for it. Oh, I mean, yeah, everybody's saying the movie was fantastic. Douglas Wagner. Well, the thing is this, like anything else, you got to take reviews with a grain of salt. One, movie reviewers have what they like. What they like is not necessarily what the public likes. I have a tendency to go by what the public rating is more than the reviewers' ratings. But even with that, you don't know how many reviews were done by bots. Because what happens is, and this happens with anything you see reviews of, somebody writes a review, few people start writing reviews, and then the bots see, hey, there's a lot of activity, and they start adding reviews. That's how the bots work. So things are never as good as they seem, never as bad as they seem. Go into it, make up your own mind, you know. Yep, exactly. You know, I know that from my industry alone. We see it all the time. Never go by appliance reviews that you see online. And never, never, never go by consumer reports. Real quick. I've been in the appliance industry for going on 30 years now. You know, home and, you know, kitchens and baths and appliances. And where I work, our company, we do service. We repair everything we sell. With that being said, when you see consumer reports reliability ratings on appliances, James McCann, I don't think I said hello to you. Hello there, my friend. But when you see consumer reports ratings of appliances, it never matches what we see in the real world. And the reason for that is because consumer reports, how they get their reliability ratings, is it's based on a survey of their subscribers. So one, if they don't have enough, if they don't have enough subscribers who have a certain product, one, it doesn't get reviewed. Two, they don't give you a proper reliability rating. And like I said, and Leda works in my service department. She sets up the appointments and she sees what's being repaired. But she can tell you what we see being repaired on a day-to-day basis is never what Consumer Reports ranks as the highest rating and highest reliability. The other thing about Consumer Reports when it comes to Wyoming Adventures, hello there. Catching us at the end, but we're going to be here for a few more minutes. But glad to see you are here. I appreciate that so much. So with that being said, when they do their tests, now this is not the reliability test. This the ratings. This is when they do their day in, day out ratings. You may have a machine that, say, has a problem. Manufacturer off the line finds out there's a problem. They change a part. They address the problem fixed. They don't have the problem anymore. The problem is Consumer Reports, since they don't take machines from the outside, they purchase them, they use the same rating for 2 years. And they never go back and retest after, like if there's a recall and something needs to be fixed. Appliances all the time have parts that have been changed. That's why when you have a serial number, there's always a number that comes after the, when you have a model number, there's always a number that comes after the model number, which one does two things, tells them what revision it is, and in the model number itself, it tells them what vendor it came from. So if you give me, say, a model number, I can look at it and know exactly, did it come from Home Depot? Did it come from Lowe's? Did it come from Sears when Sears was still around? Okay. Depending on what vendor it comes from, it uses different parts. People don't know this. People just assume it's the same machine. It's not. When you see the basic model number, okay, you get that basic model number, it is the same, except that when you look at it, say, on the website, but when you actually open the machine, there's always another number that's added to it, and that gives us all that information. It also tells us what revision it is, so we know what parts have used in your specific machine. We also know if the parts have been superseded by new parts. We can tell all that. General consumer can't, and Consumer Reports takes none of that into account. So take Consumer Reports when it comes to appliances with a grain of salt. Just letting everybody know. Steven, my company will not carry Samsung. That's the one thing. Because we do service, we know there's problems with Samsung, and we will not carry Samsung. So just leave it at that. You know, we carry just about every company but Samsung. When I was at a different dealer before I worked where I am now, we had 10 Samsung refrigerators come in. Same model, all came in with the paddle for the dispenser broken inside the box. Well, not a box because they don't use boxes. What they do is they use styrofoam corners and then shrink, then vacuum wrap it. They had, like I said, 10 machines coming all damaged, and they would not give us credit for anything because they're like, nope. Once it's sent out, it's on you. And we're like, no, your product is broken in unopened boxes. We have the proof, and they wouldn't deal with it. The problem with Samsung and LG, and LG's gotten much better, but they were cell phone and TV companies long before they were appliance companies. In this market, LG was actually started, for anybody who needs a little history lesson on LG, LG was started in Korea because during the Korean War, American companies couldn't send product to Korea. So they started building their own, and that's the birth of LG. In the 80s, LG gets here making small electronics like VCRs and things like that under the name Gold Star. Anybody remember Gold Star appliances? People think LG stands for Life is Good. Nope. It's actually Lucky Gold Star. Lucky Gold Star is the actual name. Life is Good is their slogan, LG. So, with that being said, when LG first got here selling appliances, the first dealer they went into was Sears. Sears had them exclusively for a year. Then Home Depot had them in the second year. And then finally Lowe's and everybody else got them after that. So with that being said, in the beginning, LG and Samsung didn't have parts distribution here in the US. And they looked at the appliances as if they were disposable. Okay? So they thought of it, hey, you have a cell phone, your cell phone breaks, nobody fixes them, you just buy a new cell phone. Or you have the insurance. They thought the same thing. They didn't have parts distribution. Well, it took LG. LG was the first one to address that. LG realized there was a problem, and they opened up a big parts distribution in the US. Okay? And they addressed it. They've gotten way better at doing appliances than Samsung ever has. We had Samsung for a very brief time in my company, and there were so many problems, we literally threw them out. That simple. And people come in asking for Samsung, and we stand by our guns. We won't sell it. Too many problems. So that's my lesson on appliances. And if anybody does ever have questions on appliances, you can always reach out to me. Like I said, I've been doing appliances forever, and I do work in a company where we service everything. And I have a really, really good knowledge. They do. Now, here's a funny story with that. All right, so this is a good one. For a long time, my wife worked for LG, okay, in their main offices in New Jersey, in Inglewood, New Jersey, or Inglewood Cliffs. We didn't have any LG appliances. Now, LG was the last of the big companies to go into the smartphone business. The problem they had was their director, and you can look this up, their director of the cell phone division in Korea committed suicide because he had so much pressure put on him because he didn't think smartphones were a good idea. And basically, they were the last company to jump on board, but they were so far behind the curve that they were done. The pressure was so great on this guy that he committed suicide. So just a little lesson on, Well, Sony, see, we do large appliances. We don't do TVs, that kind of thing. We do kitchen appliances. We do, cleaning appliances. So, it's a shame what happened to Viking too. Viking was a great company, and they changed ownership so many times that their product is just not very good anymore. We still sell Viking. I'm not going to lie. We don't sell a lot of it. The call for it isn't there like it used to be because they don't have the reputation they once did. Wolf and Sub, they're amazing. Amazing, amazing product, but you pay for it. David Gadici, what's up? You have caught us at the end of the show. Realistically, I should have been off like 6 minutes ago, but you know, I will say one thing: Sony makes fantastic cameras. You know, my other business beside the appliances, my not my day gig, but my other gig is as a photographer. I shoot Canon, but that's because I've shot Canon since 1987, and I love Canon. But honestly, I think Sony kills it when it comes to cameras. You know, all right. I'll tell you what I have. I have GE appliances, and I know there's controversy about GE because they are partially they're owned by Haier. But again, not to get into the politics of it, but Haier basically bought GE so that way Haier can make inroads into the US because GE spun off the appliance division. It was great for GE because it gave them further expansion into places like New Zealand and Australia. Okay. Then Haier also gets into bed with Fisher and Paykel. Fisher and Paykel is a company out of New Zealand. What that does is that gives Fisher and Paykel move right into the Asian market. So all three companies are kind of in bed with each other, but it's more of a distribution deal. GE still made here in the US, like 90% of their product. They still make some stuff in Mexico, and the reason why they're making stuff in Mexico is to get around tariffs and distribution problems, because there are certain countries we can't send to down in South America. But if you're manufacturing in Mexico, you can bypass those laws and send. So don't think that they're necessarily making stuff in Mexico as cheaper labor. They're not. They're doing it to bypass certain restrictions. I have no problem with Whirlpool. Whirlpool's got 100 companies under the Whirlpool umbrella. So you have Whirlpool as the parent company. Whirlpool owns Maytag. Whirlpool owns KitchenAid. Whirlpool owns Genair. They own the Magic Chef name. They own Roper. They own Admiral. They're all under the Whirlpool umbrella. And there's different levels, and they're aimed at different audiences. I don't have a problem with anything Maytag or Whirlpool. Are they made the same way as they used to be? No, but no machine is, and there's a lot of things I can go on for hours explaining to you why washing machines, and basically any appliance isn't made like it was 50 years ago. But we don't have a lot of time for this because it's late. But if anybody wants to talk about this on a different show, we could. I could do a whole appliance show, but it's a subject that's only like 5 of us going to be interested in. So, All right, folks. On that note, that's true, Dog One. As they used to say, knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. All right, folks. I'm going to sign off. This was a fun one. I had a lot of fun tonight. And don't forget, next week, we will be showing off the ADVENTUREFIFTY collaboration knife. And we'll have a special guest on that night. We will be, hopefully, we'll be rolling out the live stream live stream blackjack, which should be a lot of fun. So next week's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to see all of you then. And I'll see everybody in the chats this week. All right, everybody. You all have a great night. I enjoyed the crap out of this one. All right, folks. I will see you soon. And as I always say, until we meet again, keep your blade sharp. Good night, everybody.